Oh, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I've lost you. You've just dropped out. Hello, gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. Yes, you were just saying about how it's filled out. And
yeah, so it just filled out.
Yes.
I have this awareness of my judgment, that I have this expectation that if people are well off, they shouldn't bitch about anything. and then I realized, well, wait a minute here. You know, we all have our layers of reality. And so I rang her up. I went back to my car and rang her up, and I apologized profusely for my lack of attention and my lack of care. I told her what had happened, and she burst into tears because she'd made the decision that she was going to leave.
Yeah.
And, you know, and prenuptial agreements and all that kind of stuff. She was going to leave with nothing, basically. And, you know, endeavoring to find her way in her late 50s and knowing that if she leaves, she comes off with nothing. And of course, I don't know any of these details. So I can see how survival is relative to all our experiences and you know, what it is that we're having to face. And so I was humbled. I was humbled by a homeless man being in judgment to my friend who I've known for years, married to her billionaire husband, whom she wants to leave. So it's like, that's very, very, very interesting. So, yeah.
So beautiful scenario to describe and to elucidate.
Yeah.
I completely relate. And I love that, you know, his attention was so much on the positive. And on his gratitude, and it really doesn't matter what's in the bank, does it?
No, it doesn't. It does. Some of the most unhappy people that I know have more money than they know what to do with, and nothing is enough. It's not enough. You can't shop enough. You can't buy enough land. You can't, you know, buy fancy food and buy all this expensive stuff to fill the void when you are disconnected from your true nature.
It is so, so true. And do you know, I've found that more than ever, and I've never had massive wealth, but the way I've gone to nature, the way nature is, synchronicity has brought me to a paradise on earth, and it's called me to it deeper and deeper and deeper. And I spend my life, and I do feel that I've lost a lot, but I'm so grateful and appreciative to have allowed that to be slothed away painfully and then more gently.
Yes.
But I am lifted up. The less I have, the more I feel connected and alive and supported and nourished by Mother Earth, by the sounds, like you say, the mornings, to listen to the birds and the winds, and that's all free.
Yes.
The smaller I get and the more I journey toward my own healing, or along that journey, the less I need and the more fulfilled I am. And it's perplexing to look back, I guess, to that programming, that old matrix that I was so enmeshed in, and in a depression and suicidal depression, because I could never work it out. And I feel that many people who suffer depression, or, you know, bipolar, or, you know, those highly sensitives are the ones that are awakening now, that are finding their way now in a world that is so chaotic and so traumatized and so lost.
Yes.
But we seem to be the ones rising, to the ones finding our way, the ones leading the light.
Yes. And this is a good thing, because, you know, there's the individual, there's our own layers of reality, and then we're creating a collective in the true quantum field, creation field universe. We're repopulating it by exiting the matrix, and thus it grows. The quantum field, creation field universe is growing, and I love that. I love that so much. And so, you know, that the reminders for appreciation, the reminder of, you know, really tuning into what is important for you, to allow yourself to be what you are, who you are, and allowing others to be different from you. And it's so freeing, you know, of course, with that, it's tremendous responsibility, because you are responsible for your own happiness, regardless of what's going on within the matrix. And I think that's part of the awakened life, is when you do truly wake up to who and what you are, and you exit the matrix and you own your attention. You realize that you are at the helm of not only the design of your life, but its own implementation and actualization. And the great thing about it is that because what we create is part of the mind, we can always change it, so the clarity around what it is that we want to create and what it's going to look like to activate those pictures into the true quantum field creation field universe. When we do that, this is why visualization is so important. I am a fan of mantras and declarations. I'm also a fan of vision boards. I've always been kind of amazed that, I've done vision boards since I was a child, and everything has materialized. And it's because when you get that clarity and you have the audacity to own that clarity and receive it, what happens when you do it is you're activating that sector of the true quantum field creation field universe, your layer of reality that has not been realized before. Why? Because you haven't intended it yet. And the moment you intend it, boom. And this is the beauty of being able to waltz in and out of the matrix, is rather than the matrix being your enemy, it actually becomes a cooperating component in your layer of your universe.
So true, that co-creative cooperative component.
Yes.
Let me ask you a little bit about masculine, feminine. So yes. For me, I've been allowing, receiving. I'm a daydreamer. I've always been a daydreamer, and I think that is the visioning as well. That vision boarding, and but I've only started to realize that actually that daydreaming has such beauty and power in the quantum sense, and to create and to manifest, but it needs to be complemented by a level of action. Yes. Now, absolutely. For 10 years, I was a high-performing CrossFit athlete. I was all masculine. I was more masculine than any motherfucking man you've ever met. And I was like a bulldozer for 10 years, and I achieved highly, but at a huge cost to my mind and my body and my spirit and my soul. And I feel that, yes, that way I did it, whatever. It was exhausting. It required so much tension and effort, and there's a new way being born in all of us, and it is that feminine, and the feminine is incredibly powerful. But I'm asking about that masculine, feminine, but also I feel that the quantum field is more potent and rich than ever. That we are a planet covered in a Wi-Fi system now, which I think is toxic, but I feel that we can be using that within the quantum field as well, of our intention with all this 5G. And I would love to get your sense of all of that.
So, and I was once upon a time, and not that far long ago, where I was part of the pushing up against the 3G, 4G, 5G, on and on and on. And then I realized, wait a minute, okay, I have a hard science background. I'm thinking, it's on. There's no point in fighting and pushing up against the shitstones that we don't like, because when we push up against it, we are actually empowering it even more. It has the complete opposite effect. And that's what the matrix wants you to do. The matrix wants you to push up against the shit you don't like, because when we push up against it, the matrix owns our attention. That thing that you don't want grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so we have to get practical. So one of the things that I do, because what I do, I have to be online. I'm on Zoom every single day practically, except for the days that I don't have technology. And every night I turn off my Wi-Fi. I have got systems in place that alleviate and diminish the effects of the radiation that I expose myself to through my phone, my computer, through Wi-Fi routers, all of that. So the farther you are away from the source, the better. There are ways to shield. There's many do-it-yourself technologies, organ technology, shungite, which is a stone that has been mined and has been found in Russia, that it's been seen to reduce the effects of the radiation. So there are practical things that you can do to mitigate these circumstances and diminish their effects. And I think one of the best ways is to be very clear about how you want to utilize technology. Okay. Like in my home, there's no way Siri or Alexa are going to have a conversation with me. I'm not interested. However, my partner, has a home that's wired with all that. So when I'm there, I wear shielding, and I feel very, very good about it, very good about and confident in my ability to take care of myself. And does it require time and effort to research that? Yes, of course. And, and this is the thing, is that when we look at energy, the masculine and feminine are in play. The electrical energy is the masculine force. Magnetism is the feminine force. So, we're playing with energies all the time, and it is a matter of balance. It's a matter of, if it's too much masculine energy, to be able to make the shift and downshift into a more feminine balance. And, it just takes really, really tuning in to what it is that you want. And I totally relate to that. I totally relate to what you shared about being in the masculine. I was always the masculine force, being out in the world. When we're teaching, we're in our masculine. When we're disseminating information, we're in the masculine. When we are taking action, we're in the masculine. And the feminine, we take direction from the feminine. She's the creative force, but she is also what is absolutely materialized in physicality. So the unseen creative potential is actually the unseen masculine, and everything that's materialized, including everything male, is actually feminine energy that has been materialized. So, it's very interesting. So I always say, especially with the gender divide and within the matrix, the divide and conquer, to get men and women to hate each other, to it's such nonsense. As men and women, male and female, regardless of gender, we have an inner masculine, we have an inner feminine. Our inner masculine, our inner man, is the part of us that takes action, is the part of us that is steadfast amidst chaos. The feminine is all about feelings, all about beauty, all about being and receiving. Our divine masculine is about gifting, giving. And, it's funny, I was on a podcast regarding remothering. And here's the thing, is that we always consider nurturing as feminine. It is not. It's masculine, because what we're doing is we are, from our hearts, extending our energy outside of ourselves. We are gifting, giving. That is masculine. So, which is why a lot of women who are mothers are pissed, because they give too much, and their feminine, who is waiting there to receive, gets nothing back. She's just being forgotten. So I always say we have to get clear about what is masculine and what is feminine in terms of being and doing. And if you're in a doing mode, that is an aspect of your inner masculine that is being expressed. And I get women pissed off at me and hating on me, because that's just kind of the getting that straight, is that Nurturing is actually the masculine energy being expressed.
The doingness.
Yeah, it's the doingness. And so, yeah, so it's not about gender. It's about being and doing. And the electric and the magnetic. And we all have it. And we have to get in balance with our inner man, our inner masculine, and our inner feminine. And I know for me, when I discovered this, the differences of the masculine energy and the feminine energy within me, I realized I was emasculating my inner masculine. You know, I wanted to do this and this and this and this and this, and I wasn't clear about what I wanted. I ran myself ragged out in the world, doing, taking care of other people, sacrificing, you know, all of that.
Yes.
You know, because the masculine is expendable. We don't give a shit. And then we blame men. You know, I'm not about hating on men. I'm not about being a man hater. I'm not about blaming men or blaming women. I don't diminish our struggles as men and women throughout our history. I don't diminish any of that. But to blame it all on men, it's part of the matrix. It's unenlightened, it's unconscious, and it creates an even greater divide. It feeds that divide so that we cannot come together and co-create and repopulate the true quantum field creation universe by exiting the matrix if we're blaming each other and dividing.
Surely when we're blaming, like really the union that needs to take place is the rebalancing of the masculine feminine within us. Like we are not blaming, we are not dividing when we are in balance within our own skin.
Yes. And that is the tremendous responsibility that we have within ourselves, because we want a peaceful world, a peaceful universe. It starts with ourselves. And if we are battling our inner masculine and inner feminine, and they're hating on each other, it won't end well. You know, the divide between the sexes starts within each and every one of us, and we have to heal that. Yeah, we have to heal our daddy issues, our issues with authority, our issues with our mothers, our issues with the feminine, our issues with victim consciousness, with perpetrator consciousness. We have to own that within ourselves. And incorporate, integrate, you know, and we have to dissect all of that and really check it out, check out what's going on, and to integrate those polarities. And that's part of the great work. It starts with us.
And what a journey it is. Like I've always known that the last frontier was within me. It was inside, and, you know, trauma and life, it brought me to that final frontier. And it's like, there you go.
Yes.
There you go. And it's not easy, is it? It's not easy. This is an endurance event. This is a commitment, a discipline, constantly returning to our truth and being brutally honest with ourselves and yet gentle.
Yes, very much so. And what a journey it is, you know, because we're worthy. We're worthy. We're divine beings, you know. I was going to ask you, what are we? What are we humans? Because we're so lost to ourselves in this world, this matrix. Like, what are we truly? What are we in essence? We're love. We're creative. We're here to move formless into form and have the audacity to move formless into form. And how do we move formless into form? Through inspiration, need, want, desire, you know, and within the matrix, oh, it's so poo-poo, that's so selfish to do, you know? It's like, no, this is it's the process of the unmanifest divine masculine energy to be manifested into the manifested creative energy, which is feminine. So it's amazing. It's an amazing journey, and it's exciting. When I think about it, it's one of the reasons why I love to talk about it, because it's so exciting to tap into the truth of who and what we are. not what the matrix tells us, not what the tribe tells us, not what the world tells us. You know, those are distractions, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, when we hear truth, when we hear, you know, like yourself speaking of these, you know, deep and simple truths, there's something in us intuitively. We know it's like a relief and an intuitive knowing that's the truth of us.
Yes.
The rest is lies and deception.
Yes, yes. And that's the feminine. That is feminine aspect of our being is our intuition. And I would say that our intuition is is the one key that will enslave us all. Which is why in the matrix we only have the 5 senses. In the true quantum field creation field universe, as an awakened human being, we have 7 senses. Our 6th sense, which is our intuition, our imagination, and our 7th sense, which is our innate generosity and care. It comes in 2 parts. 7A, it's the divine masculine principle of gifting, giving, and 7B, the divine feminine principle of receiving. And that's it. You know,
I love it. Maya, tell us a little bit about the work you do. It's fascinating to me. You know, I've followed you on Instagram and watched a lot of your YouTube, and you're just such a woman in her power, and, you know, creating ripples of change and awakening. And how do you help people?
Thank you. Well, these days I am really focusing in on the reality creation aspect of it. I'm still doing my trauma deactivation work. I have practitioners all over the planet who have taken up that torch, because it's a very disturbing torch, and it's something that you know, not a lot of people want to hear about that kind of stuff, and I don't advertise for that kind of work. And so a lot of my work is about training folks who really want to take this torch up. It's not for everybody. And so it's not about the training in deactivating trauma-based mind control, or deactivating trauma. It is about, because after you deactivate the trauma, you have to be able to create your layer of reality. So doing a lot of videos and a lot of trainings about reality creation and what that means, and being able to exit the matrix and what that means. What is spiritual awakening? Spiritual awakening is about owning your attention. That's it. You know, it's not some kind of like, you know,
woo woo wah wah.
Yeah, some woo woo wah wah. I mean, I have a girlfriend who went to, this is years ago, she actually went to Bora Bora, spent $10,000 on this event. It was I don't know, maybe a weekend retreat or something about spiritually awakening. You actually got a in gold gilded certificate certifying that you are now spiritually awakened. And she just fucking laughed her ass off. We couldn't stop laughing. She's like going, oh my God, you know, I actually did this shit. And I'm like going, well, and she said to me, and thank God I'm a Trustafarian, because I can't imagine somebody who would plunk down 10 grand on a credit card. And that's just for the hotel and the event, not to mention the airfare and the time up. And it's just, that's craziness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is where we get hijacked into chasing this, that, and the other thing within the matrix, and not owning our attention, thinking that somebody is going to give it to you. And so the work that I do, I'm not giving it to you. I'm just reminding you. I'm reminding you that we each have a creation field that we need to activate. We have to know how to do it. And the only way you are able to access it is by owning your attention. That's it. And owning your attention is a requirement in dissolving trauma. Otherwise, you just stay in the matrix, traumatized over and over and over and over and over again. And so this is the work. This is the work that I do. And so much of it is just so available. I endeavor to make things available for free because, it's like the people that really require this the most, they don't have the means.
Yeah.
They don't have the means. They don't have the energy. And so, I like to focus on being as available to disseminate the do it yourself and what it is that you're doing, and training people to be able to teach other people too, because the more of us that are repopulating the true quantum field creation field universe and exiting the matrix, the more fun it's going to be.
Is everybody traumatized? Is
Yes.
everyone, do we know, do we not know? I know that there's a scale.
Yes.
Are people unaware that they're even suffering
Yeah.
immense trauma?
Many people are very, very unaware, and so the good news is that one person that vibrates at the frequency of love and owning their attention has the ability to really up level 500,000 people in the world who are still sleeping.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of like that 100th monkey process where, it starts to spark. And so the more of us that can really move out of the matrix in our awakened attention center and composing reality, the more it's going to spark. And it's going to spark an upheaval and an up leveling and, the renaissance of human creativity. I'm all for it.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I see that world. I really do.
Yeah. And that's what we are endeavoring to do with this great work, is to, inspire and get folks to take up the torch so that they can spark others in their own creative, unique way.
I love this. I remind myself on a regular basis, particularly when I feel the weight of despair at the state of the world, I remind myself of the extraordinary opposite, like the light, the potentiality, the creative force that is paralleling. And again, where do I want to plug my attention and my energy?
Yes. Absolutely.
And I feel that when I do that, I plug into all of those who are also in that field and on that frequency.
Yes. And that's so beautiful. That's exciting to me, it really is. And, what I'm finding fascinating is, when I'm out and about and have to interface with, the matrix and waltzing in and out of the matrix. And I'll meet someone who has done the great work as well. And we recognize each other, and it's always fun to do that, to recognize a fellow waltzer waltzing in on the matrix, going about their business, and their layer of reality intersects with your layer of reality, and the synergy of that recognition is like, it's just pure amazing bliss for me.
Spark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a spark. Exactly. And so I've had those experiences, and then all the people around us are like, they're regarding us like, what are they doing? That's different. There's something different about them.
Yes.
And perhaps that can be an inspiration for them to just sort of ponder about it, and, perhaps be reconnected, re-inspired to some forgotten dream, some forgotten aspiration that went on the back burner, because their attention got hijacked. So, I'm all about the little sparks and the little, I call them little hints, nudges and smooches, mwah, you know, all of that kind of stuff, you know, because these are all, they're all clues. They're all, it's all about intentionality and being able to receive, you know, so all of us being in the reception mode, asking a question, and then receiving. So the receiving is an activation of our inner feminine. And being open to receive the answers, having the audacity to ask the questions, you know, which is a masculine, it's a masculine trait to bust a move, to take action, ask a question, and then to receive the answer.
It's such an empowering thing and so gentle, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Very, very, very
It's
gentle.
funny, these last 2 years, and what I've noticed, I mean, it's been a very pivotal 2 years to bring me to this point, but what's been happening recently is the synchronicities to the point where I giggle now. You know, there is nothing that I could have done in my masculine energy by force of will and control and manipulation and OCD and repetition that could ever trump the synchronicities when they just happen and I receive. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Of course.
And the universe, that's the universe, quantum field universe, handling the details. They are in tandem, the quantum field universe and then the matrix, they collaborate to become cooperating components to propel our reality to that up-leveled sector of your universe. Yeah. And how cool is that? It's so fucking cool. I love it.
And you know, I feel like, you know, we're so dense. It takes quite a lot of synchronicities for us to start to like truly, as you say, pay attention.
Yes.
And receive. And then it's a playful creativity, not some dense, dysfunctional dystopia.
Yeah. And that's the interesting part of the matrix when it comes to manifestation. People are only going to believe it when they see it. But in the awakened state, the true quantum field, creation field universe, the leading edge of what is about to materialize is not yet seen. And the people who trust that, it's because they have the audacity and the wisdom, the embodied wisdom that because they intended it and composed it, it is so.
Yes.
End of story.
Yes. Yes. And then you go about the business of living life as a meditation.
Yes.
Emotion.
Yes. I love it.
It's extraordinary. Just extraordinary. I wonder, do we have another 5-10 minutes? Are you okay with that?
Sure. Yes.
I would like your perspective on, I guess, the state of affairs, I guess from a domestic violence perspective, that masculine and feminine, what's been going on inside of our homes, in those intimate relationships.
Yes.
To the point that we've come to now.
Well, from my perspective, and having survived a lot of violence within the home, it is another aspect of the divide and conquer. And it's a program, or actually a set of multiple programs, if I may be, you know, quite so bold to say, because it's not just a repetition of our tribal dysfunction from our lineages of our mothers and fathers. It is also a societal dysfunction that is meant to not just break up the family, but also to break the human spirit. In these toxic interactions, where it sets up a sort of trauma bond where the trauma hormones are being fed again and again and again and again. And it becomes, in and of itself, an addiction. And you can't out of it. And it's an excitement, it's a thrill. And it is a way to bond. It is a way to actualize really fucked up, toxic love relationships. It is a way to also bypass any kind of self-responsibility, to adhere to the victim-perpetrator polarity. And I'm talking generalities, but you know, when we get to the generalities, you can see the sort of overview, the umbrella effect. And sometimes these can be utilized, these toxic shit shows can be utilized as triggers to wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Triggers to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Triggers to choose yourself or to choose your children, or to, you know, make different choices. And it's a very complex trauma cycle to be in. So there's not, one size does not fit all. And I know that over the whole of my life and the work that I do, I have definitely been in situations with clients and with students where their domestic show was like, it was just beyond anything that you could possibly imagine, and more. But this is, once again, the sort of evils of the mind control and the dehumanization process that has happened over the millennia within the matrix of human history, is that it has bred a disconnection to our hearts, a disconnection to empathy, where you know, the sort of infiltration and proliferation of what I call NSPs, the narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths, is like, I mean, you talk about a global pandemic, there it is right there. Yeah. And with the advent of social media and of course the 7/19, and you know, the increase in domestic violence, the increase in child abuse, the increase in just rape and torture. I mean, we're not even discussing it because you know, we're so the world is distracted by 7/19 and all the other things, and so the suffering continues. And you know, it is my intent that the suffering becomes really an anchor trigger for folks to really start getting real and to ask for help, to, you know, do whatever it takes to escape. Now, in the work that I've done the majority of my work has been hand-holding survivors of trafficking. And, you know, so in many ways, this is like, it's domestic violence that is really very systemized and corporatized in many, many ways, because the matrix that allows this horror to continue is on every level of society, every level of finances, and you know, so the evils that prevail, it just is, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to get in the middle of, and to endeavor to instill changes and endeavor to facilitate. So it's very complex, and I wish that I had some kind of like down pat answer for what needs to happen, but I don't, you know.
We've got to learn to love ourselves more, don't we? And by love, I don't mean flippant, rah, you know, fluffy,
yes.
but literally the discipline of self-care, self-honoring, self-trust.
Yes, yes. And it really starts with us, because so much of the domestic violence that I myself have experienced and have been immersed in was really, I mean, the root cause was, you know, the bad parenting that I received, and just bad relationship modeling, you know, and the shame of it, to where, you know, we're living in a shame-based society within the matrix. You don't want to talk about that shit. You don't want people to know. You know, that the secrecy holds it in place.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So toxic. Let me ask you one last question, if you don't mind, on this topic. In my own experience, what I believe to be true is that as a female, as loving my partner, I needed to save him. That somehow that my love, enough constant love would heal his wounds and save him. Now, that's my first part of the question. Later, after doing my research, I wondered, how do we know whether that person is still like heart-centered human, or whether they've become almost psychopathic, disconnected, no empathy, no hope of healing?
I'll tell you my experience, because I understand that. And we, as very masculinized, powerful women, the polarity with our masculine, because our masculine is so strong, we tend to attract weak masculine men who are more in their victimized feminine. And we take them on as a project because of our ability to have empathy. But what we're doing, and this is what I discovered that I was not allowing myself to be the high value, high quality woman that I am. And what I was doing is I was actually dishonoring myself by choosing a project man. And when we choose project men, what we're doing is we are not choosing a man who is our equal. We're not choosing a man who is more masculine than our masculine. And when we choose men who have a very weak masculine and have no purpose, or are very chaotic in their life track, what we're doing is it's a form of self-denial, and it never ends well. And so what I had to discover for myself was to be able to like really step away and ask pertinent questions that I really need to get honest with. And, you know, one of the questions was, can this man meet me now? No. And that no gives me the view, and the view of the truth, that because he can't meet me, there is no way that the relationship can thrive. There's no way I can thrive. You can't be met. Okay. And when we are seeking conscious relationships and conscious partners, we need to be met on the same level at the very least. Because if we're not being met, there's a level of toxicity, and there's a level of unconscious that is going to prevail in the relationship. and it's not fertile ground for creativity. You'll find yourself, I was so held back in so many ways and exhausted. My feminine was not getting anything because I had to do everything, and
I relate, yeah.
Yes. And so then when it starts getting violent, it's a lot of two-way frustration, basically, that gets manifested. And I've seen it both ways, where either the woman is the perpetrator or the man is the perpetrator, because that energy needs to somehow get equalized. And one of the ways we equalize a shit show is through violence. And we learn that. We learn that through our own, tribal programming, through our own experiences. We see it in movies, in mass media, throughout the we're in the entertainment age, so we're watching that, along with these antiquated toxic masculine and toxic feminine roles. And we talk about toxic masculinity, but we don't talk too much about toxic femininity. I've gotten kicked off of podcasts because I've mentioned it. They're like, oh, no way, we women can't be toxic. Oh, yes, we fucking can.
Are you kidding?
I mean, there is nothing more frightening than a toxic woman expressing as a toxic masculine essence.
Oh, I agree. I think I quake in my boots. I quake in my boots. Yeah.
Yes. And then I'm just going to add this. The head of the satanic cabal within the matrix, running the shit show of the world, is a woman. And in my work of hand-holding trafficking survivors and being out in the field and visiting rape camps and all these establishments of business, as usual, most of these were run by women.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of, action to do when I hear the whole fake feminism thing of taking up arms and blaming everything on men and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, please. No. It's like, sorry, sister, you don't know what you're talking about. Seriously. The biggest perpetrators against women are women themselves.
Yep. Yeah, there's a conversation nobody's having.
Yes. I'm trying to have that conversation, much to my dismay. So anyways.
Tell me on the positive side of that feminine, what I see is women rising like never before, and I truly believe that it is us, those with open-hearted, empathetic power, who are going to save humanity. Yes, I agree. And we're going to do that alongside of the men. Yes. Not the overly feminized men, but the men who are balanced in their masculinity and their femininity. Because there's nothing more powerful or attractive than a conscious man who is balanced in his masculine and feminine and embodies empathy and embodies vision and is actualized in that. It's powerful. I love that. And and I think it's a beautiful, beautiful, positive place to perhaps start to wind us up. I wonder, it's just been fascinating, and I could go on and on and on, and it's been there's such a privilege to have these 90 minutes with you, and you're such a force of such a powerful energy, and you're obviously an incredible transformation agent and a light, to so many, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much. Please tell, and look, I'll provide a whole lot of information in the show notes for people to access you, but where's the best place? The best place to connect with me is the Instagram, of all
places.
Here we
I
are,
find very
back in social media.
I find it very, very, very shocking. You know, the YouTube, this is my second YouTube channel. My first one was deplatformed.
Which meant they unplugged you.
Yes, I got unplugged after almost a decade. And, you know, I mean, relatively small following, 102,000 subscribers and 2,200 plus videos. But I went over the edge, pushing up against the matrix. And,
what did you say? Did you say a word? Did you say?
I think it was a combination of things, but I definitely took it too far. Where I was doing a lot of outing of what was going on in the world, traffickers and all that kind of stuff. And that was it. It was gone. And
so you touched the nerve and spoke the truth, and we don't like that sort of thing.
Yes. So I'm learning how to navigate it in a different way. And you know, Facebook, I've been, you know, banned for 12, 30-day bans. You know, it's like,
that'll teach you.
But Instagram, for whatever reason, has been a very powerful platform to be on. And I watch my P's and Q's. I don't push up against. I share what I'm passionate about without pushing up against and criticizing. So I don't get in the crosshairs of the matrix any longer. You know, I hop onto their pendulums and I give them what they want and I get what I want.
Oh, that's fascinating. I love that. I feel like we women on our path and honing our skills are like smoke, you know, that moves through the cracks, and we can navigate all environments.
You know, and I have a very disarming handle at dakini.kiss. And so, you know, it doesn't represent being a hellraiser. It represents really, you know, this very mystical feminine, the sky dancer, and, you know, this smooch. And, you know, the smooch is always about, it's a touchstone for love, a touchstone for connection, for sweetness. And, you know, sometimes the harsh truth needs to be laced in sweetness for it to be received in a way where it's not going to be slammed or slaughtered.
Is that the feminine in action there?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. So, you know, and it was really the co-creation of my former assistant, Sabina, who passed away in 2018. And she was my rock for over 20 years. And she started Facebook and Instagram. I didn't want to do any of it, you know, so she did all my Facebook stuff. And then after she passed away, somebody said, oh, I followed you on Instagram. I go, I don't have an Instagram account. And I realized, oh, wait, Sabina started that. So I took it up and I learned it. I started to have fun with it and realized, okay, I need to learn how to interface with the matrix and waltz in and out of it without pissing it off.
Yes, there's some profound wisdom right there. Thank you for that.
Yes, without pissing it off, without making it wrong, and allowing it to be a tonic for this toxic world. And the platform for me to share, you know, my snarkiness, and you know, I have a very feminine look, so it's a fun place to share that as well. And you know, because it's the feminine look, and then the shit that comes out of my mouth, you know, people are like, oh my God.
I love that. And look, people really need to go and check you out. You are just so divine. Honestly, if you told me you're 30, I would believe you. You're exotic, you're authentic, you're powerful, and you're a source of light and healing. And it's so it's at Dakini Kiss at dakini.kiss, but I'll pop that in the show notes. And then you have your YouTube channel.
I have my YouTube channel. It's called Love, Truth, and Beauty.
Yes.
And so we're going into our third season as of January 2nd, our third season, and we're having some fun. And what I'm liking about it is that I'm sharing my replays on IGtV, on the Instagram. So I get to do that. I have all of the different platforms as well. So I'm also on Odyssey, Library, BitChute, One Great Work Network. There's some other things too. I forget. I can't remember.
Holy hell. Okay, these are the words I've never heard before. Yes.
So it's like, it's totally fun. It's totally, I'm having a really, really good time.
Wow. Learning
the technology on social media. And, you can learn stuff after 60. You can.
You can. It never ends. It never ends. I mean, you're just so alive and so creative and so passionate. This conversation's just been so winding and an absolute joy and pleasure. And thank you so much. I look forward to our next connection, whatever that may be, and perhaps in time there's another podcast that we can look at that feminine, reclaiming it and that dark, the dark feminine side.
A good topic. That is a very good topic.
I would be very interested. I've had my own journey there in my own family and our lineage. So. And I think many women as well. So you're doing such a great service, And I love that you said how much fun you're having with your work and these platforms at this time where we've never been more censored. And, there's the strength, there's perspective, there's your attention. You're a walking example of everything you speak.
Oh, sweet. Thank you so much.
Well, again, I will let you go. Thank you for your time. And
all right, sweetheart.
We will connect soon. So much love to you. All the love.
Big love.
Bye-bye, Marja.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.